dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of our program, Africa Today. The Egyptian Group for Multi-Purpose Terminals and Turkish Dogos have entered into a Memorandum of Understanding, the MOU, to establish a Turkish industrial zone in Jarjoub. The investment for this project are estimated to reach $7 billion as slated in the report released by the Egyptian Ministry of Transport. The project encompasses a collaborative effort to implement various initiatives, including a commercial port, free and logistical zones, railway connectivity, a versatile cargo terminal, a passenger terminal, and a yacht marine, as well as an industrial zone. More details in the following story.
Announced the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding MOU for the establishment of a Turkish logistic industrial zone in Marsa Matruh, located in the northwest of Egypt. According to the ministry statement, the project will be implemented in the economic zone of Jarjoub and aims to attract over $7 billion in direct investments while creating more than 20,000 job opportunities across different stages. This initiative is a significant part of Egypt's strategic plan, which seeks to leverage the advantageous position of Mina Jarjoub. The plan involves the development, management, and operation of a commercial port, free trade and logistical zones, as well as their integration with the railway network. Additionally, it includes the construction of a cargo station, a passenger terminal, an yacht marina, and an industrial zone. The primary objective of the project is to enhance trade volume with the African countries and strengthen Egypt's role within the African continent. It also aims to establish a logistics directorate to support complementary industries, value-added industries, and storage activities for different types of goods, utilizing the vast untapped area behind the port. Furthermore, the project aims to attract global investments across various economic sections, such as industry, tourism, logistics, and information technology. It envisages the development of global touristic centers like Al Alamein and Ras Al Hikma to promote tourism, increase Egypt's share in the tourism sector, attract cruise tourism, and create a comprehensive urban community. Additionally, plans are underway to establish a private airport in the city.
And to shed more light on the issue, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Ambassador Ayoub, Mahmoud Ayoub, former Minister Commercial. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon to you and to the viewers.
Sir, Ministry of Transport has announced the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding, an MOU, for the establishment of a Turkish logistical industrial zone in the Marsa Matruh Governorate, located in northwest of Egypt. Can you shed more light about this?
This will be one of the most important economic Pan-African projects to date. Why we say that? Because trade between, or economic relations, not only trade relations between African countries, are the backbone for any strong relations between any countries. We established this, and also in Marsa Matruh in Western Desert. This means many things, whether for the Western Desert and Marsa Matruh to Salom area, or for Egypt, or for African countries, because trade needs transportation. Transportation means land transportation besides the air, of course, and marine lines. So this project is multidimensional in that it affects all the channels of trade between the Egypt and the African countries, and it will benefit not only Egypt, but also the African countries, not only Egypt, but also all the landlocked African countries like Chad and others. And this will cement also relations between North and South Africa, which is of utmost importance, whether for the African countries, for the Egyptian economy, which is recovering from the aftermath of the COVID and terrorism. It is a lot, we can say a lot about this project, because it will be the banner of the relations between Egypt and the African countries in the very near future, once it is put in force and once it is implemented. Of course, its implementation will take some years, not months, of course.
Yes.
But let us begin today, and we will see the results tomorrow.
Indeed. Sir, actually, the primary objective of the project is to enhance the trade, the volume with the African countries and strengthen the Egyptian role within the African continent. How do you see the impact of such a project on that?
Trade is very important. When we find our foreign trade, that the volume of foreign trade that is exports and imports between Egypt and African countries, just 7% of the total volume of trade in Egypt. This means that there is a lot which can be done in this area. Egypt has many products which are exportable to African countries, and I have worked in 2 African countries and know the needs very well. Now we have commercial bureaus in the commercial offices in some of these countries, in many of these countries, and we need to increase them so that we use the available capacities and capabilities and also exploit the needs to the advantage of the African economy and the Egyptian economy. Trade is very important, and we just began the process of increasing the facilities or the means or the tools to increase trade. We have production, we have exports, and we need to divert a good part of it to African countries for the mutual benefit of African countries and the Egyptian economy.
Yes. Do you believe, sir, that this initiative is a significant part of Egypt's strategic plan?
It is significant, and quite significant. Why? Because, as I mentioned earlier, economic relations between countries are the backbone of any relations between countries. We can add political relations, social relations, and all the things, but the backbone of relations is the economic relations. Once we cement and increase and support economic relations represented in trade, for example, we, in this way, we are playing our role, a dominant role or leading role or vital role in the African continent. And Egypt was the president of the African Union just a couple of years ago, and there is a lot has been done since that time, and we need to go to this direction to increase relations, economic, trade, transportation, transfer of technology, and know-how between African countries, so that we take our complete capacities to the right direction, that is the African continent, which is also the backyard, not the backyard, but we are the front yard for the African countries on the Mediterranean and with trade as far as Europe is concerned.
Yes, indeed. Sir, also the project is aiming to attract global investments across various economic sectors, such as the industry, tourism, logistics, and IT. What's your take on that?
So we are, in this way, once we are putting on ground the base for sound economic relations between African countries, this is the best impetus and the best attraction for foreign investment in transportation, in technology, and in know-how. So we are paving the way for the foreign investment because they need a big market of 1.5 billion inhabitants or 1.5 billion consumers, will I say, and in foreign investment, whether European or American or Asian, Chinese or Indian, so it is a big market, and the best thing to do is just to put the base for a sound economic relations and sound attraction for the foreign investments, which will make a lot in the African continent because they are almost very keen. Most of the African countries are very keen to attract foreign investment, and Egypt is playing a leading role in this respect.
Sir, also the deal is to establish a logistics directorate to support complementary industries, value-added industries, and storage activities for different types of goods, and utilizing the vast untapped areas behind the port. How do you see the importance of these areas of logistics and the usage of these areas in that project?
This is the playground for the foreign investment and the Egyptian investments, of course. So this is the area where we can focus and begin from today for value addition in any project, with value addition for the African economy and the Egyptian economy, of course. And this is very important to begin as early as possible. And we have initiated this process, which will result in concrete positive results for the economy and for employment and for many things, and raising the national income or GDP in Egypt and African countries. And Egypt, it is a very sound and far-sighted step as far as economic relations between Egypt and these countries is concerned.
Yes. So how do you see and how do you evaluate the Egyptian-Turkish relations?
Really, Egypt is playing a dominant role and a vital role, whether for the African continent or in the international arena, as far as our relations with Africa is concerned.
Yes.
In many instances, we have seen that the African countries have been quite supportive to Egypt in political areas in the United Nations and else, so that we are liaising more closely with African countries, and this will reflect not only economically but also politically on the Egypt's standing in the international arena and also in the regional relations with other regional relations with other countries. And foreign investment are looking to Egypt in this aspect, and Egypt will be the gateway for foreign investment so that they utilize the all unutilized resources in the countries. Will I mention just simply that many African exports used to be exported to other countries, and we import it from these countries at a value at a higher cost. Now, when we have direct relations with these countries, we are importing all our needs of industry and of food and wheat and so on at a lower cost, and this will positively reflect on the Egyptian economy and the Egyptian citizen.
Indeed, Ambassador Ayoub, Mahmoud Ayoub, former Minister of Commercial, thank you so much, sir, for your precious input. Always a pleasure. And moving on to Libya, where it has ordered the immediate closure of its main border crossing with Tunisia following the clashes between the armed groups and security forces on the Libyan side.
The Democratic Republic of Congo's conflict-driven hunger crisis is worsening as violence in the eastern provinces surge, forcing families to flee once again. More and more people are arriving at overcrowded camps where there is a lack of food, sanitation, and shelter. Just since February, 230,000 people have been displaced to Goma by the M23 conflict, bringing the total estimated displaced population to almost 1 million people around the city, almost double what it was 4 months ago. Eastern Congo has been riddled by conflict for decades, linked to more than 120 armed groups fighting for land and power, and in some cases protecting their communities. The government said the violence in the east has plagued the country with recurrent conflict and resulted in a surge of attacks that have spread terror among the communities. In recent years, the M23 rebel group, the most dominant in the region with alleged links to neighboring Rwanda, has continued to attack villages, forcing many to flee to Goma, the region's largest city. M23 has laid siege to several communities with about half of North Kivu province under its control. The violence in the province has worsened in recent weeks as security forces battle the rebels.
The Democratic Republic of Congo's conflict-driven hunger crisis is worsening as violence in the eastern provinces surges, forcing families to flee once again. More and more people are arriving at overcrowded camps where there is a lack of food, sanitation, and shelter.
The Libyan Interior Ministry said that the country has ordered the immediate closure of its main border crossing with Tunisia following clashes between armed groups and security forces on the Libyan side. The border post in the desert area of Ras Jadir, about 170 kilometers from the Libyan capital, Tripoli, is the main crossing point between the two North African countries. Libya's interior minister said in a statement that it ordered the closure of the post after outlaw groups attacked the post in order to create chaos. It said the groups are involved in smuggling activities, which they consider to be their right. The closure of the border crossing aims to establish security arrangements to restore the post's work and ensure it functions under the authority and legitimacy of the state. According to the local media, clashes broke out on Monday night between armed groups who control Ras Jdir and security forces sent by Tripoli. On Monday, Libyan Interior Minister directed the minister's law enforcement department to intervene at Ras Jdir to combat smuggling and security violations and to facilitate drive. Groups from cities in the border area have for years controlled Ras Jdir, benefiting from the parallel border trade.